6 o'clock. I'd like to call the Kokomo Common Council to order. Would you please stand for invocation, or you can remain seated if you choose to. Cindy?
Yes, I'd like to invite Pastor Kerry Williams to the microphone. He's from Calvary Baptist Church. Thank you and welcome for coming. Following the invocation prayer, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's all pray together. Father, I thank you tonight that while we live in challenging times where so much seems to be out of control, we are grateful tonight that we know you are in control. I want to thank you tonight that we live in a country that has its challenges and certainly has its challenges right now. But God, I still believe it's the greatest country in the world. And Lord, for our community has its challenges as well. It's a great place to live, a great place to raise a family. And God, we thank you for all of that. I want to thank you tonight for this council, for the members of it, for our leaders who sacrifice of their time and energies to serve us. And Lord, I pray tonight you would give them wisdom, extraordinary wisdom in these extraordinary times, that you would help them to be good listeners, that you would guide them to put aside any personal agendas and work for the common good. Lord, help them to work together, compromise, listen to their constituents, and God, ultimately be guided to the right decisions and the best decisions for our community. God, we ask for all of that tonight in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Councilman Collins, would you lead us in the pledge? The pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Diane, would you please take the roll?
Collins.
Here.
Hayford.
Here.
Roger Stewart.
Here.
Tony Stewart.
Here.
GRECU.
Here.
Rudolph.
Here.
McKibben. Here. Sanders. Here. Micklick.
Here.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any communication from the audience?
Approval of minutes.
Oh, that's right. The approval of the minutes. Everybody has the minutes, okay? And I'm sure you've read them very thoroughly. So I would entertain a motion to pass the minutes from November 9th meeting, 2020.
So moved.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Karen? Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Motion carried. Now, Diane, could you do the roll, please?
We did the roll. We're on communications.
Oh, that's right, communication.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
Do we have any communication? Yes, sir.
May I please?
Yes.
Good evening, council members, Mr. President. My name is John Roberts. I live at 5813 Peshawah Court here in Kokomo. And I'd like to speak with you for a moment about a fireworks ordinance. I have some information for each of the council members, if I may give them to you, please.
Did the council, did everybody get it?
I'll pass it.
If not, give it to Diane. She'll pass them out.
Thank you. I was here on July 27th of this year to speak about fireworks and how out of control they are here in Kokomo. And I didn't know, but there was a lady here from a different neighborhood, and she was doing the same thing. I was very pleased that we wasn't the only ones complaining about the outrageousness of the fireworks. At the July 27th meeting, I brought information from State Representative Mike Kirikoff that states the state allows communities to make fireworks ordinances stricter than what the state does. And that was great. I thought, this is our opening right here. And I spoke to my councilman here recently, and he asked me, what are other cities doing? Well, by golly, I started calling around and finding what other cities are doing. And I found out that Kokomo is somewhat of an anomaly. For the other communities in our state that are similar to Kokomo, they almost all have fireworks, or each one that I called has a fireworks ordinance, every single one of them. Indianapolis, of course, they're a state capital. Columbus, I think they're a peer city of Kokomo. I think we measure up pretty well Columbus, and Lafayette and South Bend, Evansville, Clarksville, Jeffersonville, Sellersburg, Fort Wayne, all these communities, South Bend, they all have fireworks ordinances, and they're pretty much within the window of June 29th through July 9th. And that's it. That's it. I think Sellersburg and Jeffersonville and Clarksville, they add Memorial Day and Labor Day to their ordinance. You can but then that's it. Then you're back to a peaceful, respectful community you can go to your home and not be shocked by artillery shells exploding in your neighborhood. And I think Kokomo can do the same thing. I think our people here in Kokomo deserve to go home after a day's work, enjoy the peacefulness of their home without being interrupted by artillery shells. And I don't think it's asking too much.
Could I see the information that you're speaking about you have provided for us?
Yes.
I would say this, we are at the end of the year, okay? We got a fairly heavy agenda tonight. We have one more meeting, so it will probably be something that we're going to have to take up after the first of the year.
Well, I'd be grateful, Mr. President,
okay.
And I would also ask the council members to look at this with a sense of urgency, because we have, time flies so fast. It'll be July before we know it. And I really don't think we need to endure another year like last year. I was checking my notes, and I spoke before the council, I think in 2016, about this very issue. And I think we're better than this. Our community can do better. And if there's a question about enforcement of this ordinance, how do other cities enforce it? So I called and I asked. And in Lafayette, the deputy clerk, Mindy Miller, she told me that when I asked her, does the population obey the fireworks ordinance? She says, yes. There's a few outliers, but a few tickets. I said, enforcement? Do you guys enforce it? They said, no problem. They advertise on social media. So it's not really an issue about enforcing the ordinance, because they have it, and most people want to obey. Once they know it, they obey it. Columbus?
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
I promise you we'll bring it up, but we've got additional business that we have to take care of. I don't want to cut you short. And I knew, did you tell everybody who your name and address was when you first came up?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, fine.
Well, I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for all your service to our community, and I want to wish you all a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
As well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other communication? Please, your name and address.
My name is Deb Smith. I live at 1301 TV Drive, Kokomo. I'm originally from Fort Wayne in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So I can honestly say, as someone who had to replace a roof 4 years ago because of the illegal fireworks, I'm appalled. Matt GRECU, you know who I am. And you know I'm a disabled Vietnam vet. I'm married to one of the few survivors out of the Walking Dead from the Marine Corps, 2 tours combat, Agent Orange veteran. We've got to deal with this. Enough is enough. If we can't, when I had to call 8 times to KPD, and nobody returned my calls except Bruce Rude showed up. He goes, okay, Deb, what is it? I said, I had sticks from the people that own one of the restaurants in town that used to live around the corner. Illegal fireworks. It cost us almost $8,000 to replace our roof. Insurance didn't pay for it because insurance did when a house caught on fire at the corner of Peace Pipe and TP. we had to have everything redone then because our house got damaged. But I can honestly tell you, as someone who's had to live through this, that someone that comes from Fort Wayne in the inner city that knows what Fort Wayne does compared to what Kokomo does, I'm appalled. And I can honestly say, with all due respect to each and every one of you, especially you, because your stepdad lives across the street from me.
You're supposed to not tell people that.
I can honestly say, if I have to hear it anymore, this veteran is going to go off if I can't get any assistance from the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other?
Can I make a comment? Do you mind? Can I make a
Yeah.
comment? I would like to say that I did speak with one of the owners of the fireworks stores in town, and I spoke with Miss Bond, who's in the audience tonight. We have discussed possibly putting together some sort of social media campaign to start for the following year during fireworks season. So that is one step that we have agreed upon to do this. And so there is some headway with this. Also, I would help any way that we would need to be. Like I would help. Okay, thank you.
I assure you we'll look at it, okay, right after the first of the year.
Hi, my name is Diana Bond, and I live at 512 Somerset Drive. And I'm here basically to back up Mr. Roberts and his research that he's done, I guess, for lack of a better word. And I was kind of surprised to find out that Kokomo kind of lacked when it comes to the ordinance, and that the other cities did in fact have ordinances and could enforce them with their particular ordinances. So I'm just here to ask the council that we still proceed with this after the first of the year. And I want to thank Kara, too, for her help. I've talked to Tonda Cockrell as well with the police department, and she's on board with helping us. So I think the timing has just got to be right, and after the first of the year might be a good time. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to committee reports. Do we have any committee reports that anyone is ready to bring up? Hearing none, then we'll move on to the business of our ordinances. Ordinance 6973. Diane, would you read that by title only?
Ordinance 6973 is an ordinance amending Ordinance 6852 for certain fees pertaining to the city's wastewater and stormwater utility.
Councilman Mickley.
Mr. President, I'd like to present Ordinance 6973 on second reading.
Support.
Thank you. Whereas the Common Council may confer control of all the municipality-owned utilities to the Works Board, and the city has enacted a schedule of storm drain and user fees, and the council inadvertently admitted or omitted a user fee for the Kokomo Public Schools. Now therefore it be ordained by the council of the city of Kokomo that the ordinance of chapter 55 section 105 of the ordinance shall be amended to read: for a 2-inch meter for Kokomo Public Schools, it will be $24.37. With that said, Mr. President, I present this ordinance for the council's vote.
Thank you. We have, are there any comments? We have a motion and a second on 6973. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. Thank you. Motion passed. Ordinance 6974. Councilman Mickley.
Me.
Councilman
Or
Sanders.
Diane, I'm sorry, Diane, read it by title only.
Ordinance 6974 is a case P13-Z-20, is a petition requesting the Kokomo Plan Commission petition and recommended the council for a change in zone.
Now, Councilman Mickley.
No, Councilwoman Sanders.
We have a
Councilman
Mr. President, I move for passage of ordinance 6974 on first reading.
Second.
Devona Beard Anderson is requesting a change in zone classification from R4 Urban Residential to OC Office Commercial for property at 1613 North Delphus Street, Kokomo, Indiana, containing 0.458 acres, more or less, for a medical office. The requested zone classification is compatible with the adjacent properties, and according to the City of Kokomo zoning ordinance, OC is considered an appropriate district within the specified area. The City Plan Commission, at their public hearing held November 10th, 2020, voted unanimously to forward a favorable recommendation to the Kokomo Common Council. Ms. Devona Beard Anderson, I invite you to present your case and answer any questions.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we got a second.
Okay.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Devonna Anderson. I'm a lifelong resident of Kokomo. I live at 1412 North Delphus. I am the CEO and owner of Ahava Wellness and Direct Primary Care. Direct primary care is a new concept in healthcare, and that is relationship-based. I only take maybe about 600 maximum patients. A normal panel for family practice is up to 2,000 patients. And so each visit lasts about an hour apiece, and it's very personal. We email each other, phone calls, and you get to know each patient. Saying that each appointment is, there are minimal appointments during the day. Traffic is minimal. Secondary to that is the north side of Kokomo. There's a healthcare desert there. There used to be neighborhood doctor's offices in that neighborhood. That's no longer the case anymore, and I would like to bring that service back to the north side of Kokomo if possible. What else? The home is about 2,000 square feet, and the renovations won't affect the surrounding properties at all. Any concerns about hazardous waste? Medical offices are mandated by licensing boards to have special service for disposal of items like that. I've already canvassed the neighborhood. Half of the neighborhood are my relatives. The other half are my patients. And so they've already asked to be my patients already, the ones that are there. So I would just... I would respectfully ask the City Council to pass this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have on ordinance 6974, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Ordinance 6975. Diane, would you read that by title only?
Ordinance 6975, case P11-Z-20 is the petition of Doug Stellhorn requesting the Kokomo Plan Commission petition and recommend to the council for a change in zone classification from a PR Parks and Recreation to a C1 small to medium scale commercial. It's located at 3116 West Boulevard in Kokomo.
Mr. President.
Councilman Sanders.
Mr. President, I move for passage of ordinance 6975 on first reading. Douglas Stellhorn is requesting a change in zone classification from PR Park and Recreational to C1 small to medium scale general commercial for property at 3116 West Boulevard Street, Kokomo, Indiana, containing 21.96 acres, more or less, for a travel trailer dealership. The requested zone classification is compatible with adjacent properties according to the City of Kokomo zoning ordinance C1 and is considered an appropriate district within the specified area. The Kokomo City Plan Commission, at their public hearing held November 10th, voted unanimously to forward a favorable recommendation to the Kokomo Common Council. There were remonstrators at the Plan Commission meeting on November 10th. Mr. Stellhorn, I invite you to come to the microphone and present your case.
We have a motion.
Second.
And
Second.
okay. On ordinance 6975, we have a motion and a second.
We have somebody to speak.
He's going to present.
Good evening, thank you. My name is Doug Stellhorn. I own Stellhorn Home Improvement located in Rushville, Indiana. I also own Stellhorn Tri-County Travel Trailers, currently located in Rushville, Indiana. I'm here tonight seeking a zone classification change so that I can move my camping dealership to the city of Kokomo. The location at West Boulevard offers an excellent location for this dealership. Moving a family-friendly business to a location like this would offer us the ability not only to partner with the city, but also to partner with the community surrounding the area. We're planning on spending a lot of money to clean up the current location, making the location that the existing neighbors would not only be proud of, but would also offer the potential of increased property values. The two buildings that are currently there, we would remodel those. The 8,100 square foot existing building would be transformed into a showroom, parts and accessories and offices. The 9,600 square foot building that's currently there would be renovated into our service department. We've budgeted approximately $125,400 to remodel both those two buildings, the interior and the exterior. We've budgeted another approximately $35,250 to remove the unsightly putt-putt golf course and repair the parking lot and lights. We've budgeted approximately $16,250 to remove the overgrown and outdated baseball fencing and ball fields, bleachers, and the old concession stands. We've budgeted another approximate $12,840 to clean up and replace the landscaping. This totals over $178,000 above and beyond what we're paying for the property, and hopefully it shows a commitment to what we want to make to the city of Kokomo. With our hours of operation being limited as far as retail goes, we're hoping that we can make this move. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any communication from the audience? Okay, we have a motion and a... okay.
Hello, Council. Thank you for your time. My name is Amy Henderson. I live at 3413 Covey Lane, just to the west of this proposed dealership, and I was in attendance at the zoning meeting. My concern is 10, 15 years down the road, if this property becomes Zone C1, God knows we don't have enough Dollar Generals in this town. What's going to happen if his travel trailer business, he retires, he closes it, what's going to keep Dollar General from building out there between all of our residential neighborhoods?
Have to be rezoned. It would have to be rezoned again, basically. It's not zoned for that.
But wouldn't his zoning allow another commercial business to come in?
I'm trying to get my paper that does say what's involved, what you can have there.
Because I know it has to go to the appeals because it is an automotive-based business, but we're still very, very concerned about the impact on our quiet, very peaceful residential area out there. And I truly do not believe that Boulevard is wide enough to accommodate the traffic for bringing in travel trailers. I drive down that road every single day, and I know the couple that lives directly across the street was at the zoning meeting. Their home was hit by a car a year and a half ago, and they had to completely rebuild the entire north side of their home. It's only about maybe 10, 15 feet off of the roadway, and my concern is there's really no way to widen Boulevard to accommodate the additional traffic. And that is of primary concern, is locating this business so close to so many residential areas. And then, of course, 15, 20 years, whenever down the road, what other kind of business could then decide to open up out there?
Would have to be rezoned again. I'm sorry, I have that information.
I have a question.
Sure.
I went out there, and so when the baseball and putt-putt was up, the lights, there's a lot of lights out there, so how was the environment out there then?
I'll be honest, I didn't live in town at that time. I was a college student, and then I've just been back in town about 14 years.
Because it's zoned now, so if someone wanted to come out there and turn the lights on and play baseball out there, legally they could.
And honestly, somebody at the last meeting had a phenomenal idea that we wish there was a developer who would reopen that, rehab the fields to become practice fields for Championship Park. I can see the lights from the front yard of my home. I can see the poles. There's a whole cornfield there. But, so yes, you're right. The lights from his business aren't going to directly affect my neighborhood because we're west of Boulders West. It's more Boulevard that concerns me, along Boulevard Street. So, thank you for your time. Yes?
Who picks up the trash out there? Is it the city?
It is the city.
So trash trucks go down the road?
They do. But they're also not backing around with travel trailers.
Yeah, but I drive a truck, so I was just concerned.
Oh, okay, sure.
I was concerned about the weight of the road or something.
Well, and you mentioned the weight. That was something I brought up at the zoning meeting a few weeks ago. We feel our house shakes every day, 3 o'clock, from blasting at the mill. So I worry about the stability of the ground under those 22 acres and the weight of trucks and trailers on that. And I'm not sure how far those tunnels go towards Boulevard down from Deffenbaugh. We've only been out there about 4.5, 5 years. So.
I'm just going to say, I could easily turn any size trailer that Mr. Stelhorn would have into his parking lot, and I'm assuming that they're all pretty professional there.
Oh, I would certainly hope so.
I don't think driving, they're putting their vehicles in there would be an issue. I don't really see that being the issue. He's only going to use, from what I gather, in the beginning, like 3 acres. So he's not,
In the beginning?
going to be used right away.
What's going to be used later? I was under the impression that the majority of the property would be left undeveloped.
Yeah, it'd be grass, I'm assuming.
Right.
Yeah.
Where the ball diamonds are all taken out, yeah, that's not gonna be developed into anything.
Okay, because I know you had mentioned that the, let me look at my notes here, that like where the putt-putt course is out front is where you plan to have about 35 or so travel trailers
Yes, ma'am.
on that display lot out there.
Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
Would you rather see it stay what it looks like now than
Honestly,
somebody?
yeah, I would.
You would rather have a dilapidated building than...
That, I ran through Boulders West, I ran through Cobblestone. I didn't worry at all about crossing Boulevard. My personal preference, I've told my husband ever since we moved back to town, if I ever hit the lottery, I'm buying it and reopening it. That's what I wish would happen.
Well,
But I know it's not, so now my concern is, I would love to see his business go on South Dixon, on 26. There's land available along Sycamore Street, west of town.
by my house on the north side of town.
Well, but these lots I'm looking at, though, are already in commercial areas.
I understand.
That's my concern, is it's a residential area.
And on the Dollar General thing, they already have one down the road.
Oh, my God, I hate Dollar General. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Are there,
Come up and address some other issues or some other,
are there, go ahead.
if you want to, sure.
It's up to you.
I understand the concerns, obviously, and nobody wants to work more closely with the neighborhood association than what we do. We want a partnership. That's what we're looking for. And I think, given the opportunity, that's exactly what will happen, is a partnership. We do that. We've done that throughout our other business and stuff. As far as the land in the back, currently right now there are no plans for that. I've contacted Dave Blazer, who farms the land behind there. He said that he would entertain the idea of land leasing part of that and farming it at some point even. As far as the weight of the trailers, these are trailers that are being pulled by small pickup trucks and SUVs. They're not huge motorhomes or things like that. These are travel trailers, and it's a camping store. So I don't think we're going to have that kind of weight distribution. I've also been in contact with Martin Marietta, and I've been assured that they are not under the property at West Boulevard, nor is there any indication that they're going to be underneath that property at West Boulevard because of the fact that the property is a pie-shaped lot and there's residents on both sides. So the gentleman that's in charge of that process of going underneath there, the mineral rights that they go after, has no interest in that lot whatsoever. So,
How many employees do you have?
we currently have 9 that will be coming in Kokomo, and we're hoping to double that within a year and a half.
Thank you.
Mr. Stillborn?
Yes, sir.
Do you know the trail's going to be coming down?
Yes, sir.
And you plan on doing something kind of helping out?
Most definitely. We want to partner with the city and the neighborhood in doing that. With the possibility, I'd be all over putting a trailhead in there, maybe exterior restrooms located there for the trailhead, a bike repair deal right there. Yeah, I'm super excited about that because I think it just kind of goes right along with what we want to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Your name and address, please.
My name is Daryl Henderson, and I live at 3413 Covey Lane here in Kokomo. My concerns are, as you so kindly mentioned, the lights coming on for the dealership. I moved out there to get out of being in town, so we could, I like the peacefulness of the neighborhood. I like that it's not bright out there. It's actually the first place I've lived in town where I can walk out and I can check out stars and stuff at night. And nothing against your business concern, sir, but if I wanted to live by a dealership of any kind, I'd have bought by McGonigal. It's a quiet area. I wonder about, I grew up around cars and trucks and garages and all that stuff, and I wonder about air guns. I wonder about the noises that go with a mechanical facility. It's just nothing I ever wanted next to me when I bought out there. So again, it's nothing personal, but I hope you don't come. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Resolution 2753. Diane, would you read that by title only?
Resolution 2753 is a resolution to provide for reimbursement to public health and public safety payroll costs with the CARES Act funding.
Mr. President, I would like to present Resolution 2753.
Continue, go ahead.
Okay. The Common Council is seeking reimbursement of public funds and safety payroll costs from the CARES Act. And there has been designated the City of Kokomo a grant in the amount, and it will be used in Fund 1510, but in the amount of $1.2 million, I believe. So whereas the payroll expenditure for public health and safety payroll costs shall be captured by the CARES Act and the grant, transferring those expenditures from the fund which were originally made. So this is going to reimburse us for the money we've already spent on Kokomo Strong in the amount of, I think, let me see. Yeah, in the amount of $950,000 and then other contractual costs. So this resolution is approving that ordinance which will follow. And whereas the governor's public health emergency alternative process is being implemented to transfer all or a portion of the money to the governing body of the City of Kokomo, and whereas the process contemplated herein is intended to allow for maximum usage of these funds, so now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Kokomo establishes the following process to utilize these CARES Act funding for public safety. The CARES Act public safety shall be receipted into the CARES Act Fund of 1510 and thereafter claim as created by the CARES Act an amount to the City of Kokomo to determine shall be receipted in the general fund. This claim must be supported by that fund and expensed by the general fund and clearly documented in our records. The money claim shall be receipted into the fund, and therefore I move the council adopt this resolution 2753 to just formally endorse the process as outlined by the state mandate.
We have a second.
I second.
Roger. Is there any comments on this resolution? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second on resolution 2753. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now I understand ordinance 6976. Tom, you wanted to
Yes.
bring that up after 2753, right?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Diane, would you read that by title only?
Ordinance number 6976, where it's been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate money in accordance with the general fund.
Mr. President, I'd like to move we adopt ordinance 6976.
Please continue.
Be it ordained that the City of Kokomo and that for the expenses of the taxing unit, additional sums of money are appropriated out of the general fund and subject to the laws of the same. General Fund, Indiana Financing Authority, in the amount of $950,000, which will replace the stronger Kokomo forgivable loans. And then the grant for other contractual COVID costs, PPE and other equipment that was necessary to buy, and $150,000, and then another $100,000 for a total of $1.2 million. Mr. President, I move that we adopt ordinance 6976 on first reading.
Do I have a second to that? Matt? Roger? Okay, we have a motion and a second on 6976. Are there any comments from the audience? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Ordinance 6977. Diane, would you read that by title only?
Ordinance 6977 is an ordinance of the Kokomo Common Council concerning certain actions and proceedings with respect to the financing of certain KHA RAD 1 apartments.
Councilman
Mr.
Mitchell.
President, I move we adopt 6977.
Second.
Okay, Mr. President, I would like to, for the sake of this discussion in the council, briefly paraphrase this ordinance. This ordinance is 7 pages long. It is comprised of a tremendous amount of legalese, and to the attorneys in the room, I commend you all. You've done a fine job, and it's totally boring, but I will share this with you. This is for Indiana Multifamily Housing Fund to remodel all the Kokomo housing in Kokomo in the amount of the bonds not to exceed $23 million. The City of Kokomo is not obligated other than to pass a endorsement of the bonds and to issue the bonds. They will be paid off, as this says, by 2022. There's no liability to the council. There's no liability to the city. And at that time, the money will be generated and do the joint development with Kokomo Housing Authority. Now, that's from a layman's point of view, but in reading this, the partnership is Kokomo Housing Authority and RAD, LP, and it is a limited partnership. The two banks involved are Huntington Bank and I'm trying to think of the other bank. There's one other bank. And Sturgis is going to be the bond company and take care of the bonds. Without reading all the legalese, I would offer to you that the one section that is important is section 16, and it says this ordinance shall be in full effect and not resolution. This is an ordinance, not a resolution. The council will find that the tax credits to be allocated to the development under section 42 of the Internal Revenue Code as amended do not exceed the amount necessary for the financial feasibility of the development. So they will use the Indiana Bond Authority and taxing unit to raise that money and to provide the cash flow for the development to remodel all the Kokomo housing units through KHA in the city of Kokomo. With that said, that is a brief thumbnail of it. This resides on the city's website, and if anyone would like to read it in detail and call me, I'll be glad to go over it with you in great detail. But at this moment, it would be non-value added, I think, to the council, since you've all had a copy of this and have had a chance to go through it. So I move we adopt it, Mr. President.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Are there any comments from the audience that you...
Yeah. I was hoping that
get it. We need your name and address.
All right. My name is Bob Davis. I'm president of ASME Local 185, which represents the workers of the Housing Authority. I was hoping somebody from Housing and/or RAD was here today.
They are.
They are?
Yes, what's your question?
Okay, my question is that the employees that we currently represent, what happens to their jobs, if any?
Well, Mr. Martin, do you want to speak to that, or is it too soon? The Kokomo Housing Authority employs these people now, right?
Right, they currently work for Housing Authority, but as these properties are turned over, my concern is possible downsizing.
I wouldn't be in a position to speak for the Housing Authority. I'm not an employee. That would be Mr. Steele. So
Okay.
while I would like to talk about the project, there's questions, the work that will be done, I'm not in a position to be able to answer those questions directly myself.
Sorry.
But I just did want to make sure that this is all in record, that those workers are being represented by the union, supported by the local council, that they do not get displaced in the process and be out of work.
Well, I think the council can comfortably say that we support them. This ordinance does not speak to that.
Correct.
They are employed by the Kokomo Housing Authority, and those questions directly would be probably to their benefit once the agreement and the bonds have been fulfilled with RAD and KHA, which will be probably 2 years if I read this correctly.
Okay.
So,
All right, thank you. I did.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Martin, I do have a question. And it's concerning the RAD, and I want to know when the changeover happens, and I know we have to vote on this, about the payment in lieu, because I know we're going to lose some, I want to make sure we don't lose some tax revenue. So how are we going to make sure that we get that tax revenue we're supposed to get when that changeover happens?
Okay, my name's Tim Martin. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Advanced Development Corporation. We're at 1225 South Union here in Kokomo. The first question regarding the pilot, I'll take that and then I'll work backwards. Pilot is a payment in lieu of taxes. It is afforded to housing authorities under state statute. It is the mechanism whereby housing authorities pay their share of property taxes per se. There's currently a pilot agreement, albeit we can't find the original document where that was crafted with City Council in the records or in anybody's possession. But these, again, are provided by state statute, and I would defer to council on how that's derived. But it is a method where housing authorities will pay their share of property taxes by determining a percentage of their cash receipts for the year, and dependent on occupancy and expenses. Then there's a pro rata amount that's paid back to the local municipality in pilot. That situation is currently ongoing with the housing authority. The matter that you refer to going forward is that we would request that same mechanism be put in place, where the same amount of taxes would be paid and the same ratio. And these are afforded and provided by the state statute as well, the treatment of affordable housing as it relates to property taxes. So we would not be paying any less for the properties moving forward. It is derived based on the economics. If the economy changes, if payment of rent goes up, if expenses goes down, pilot goes up. So it's on an annual basis. It's based on the audit and the finances for the operations of that given year.
Okay. Do you know where they're in that? You say you can't find it right now. Do you know if they're putting that in place, or are they working on that right now, or who's a part of that right now?
We've been talking to the city. We have council has prepared a draft from another jurisdiction to review, and we hope to be able, subject to the cities, and again, I'm the developer, this would be the housing authority and the city speaking, but I will say that as a matter of process, there's conversations going on now about getting a document in front of council to review for that matter.
Okay.
So that document is basically to just put on paper the agreement that is being fulfilled as
correct.
Times new.
Thank you.
You've been here already once on this, right? This is the second time, right?
Yes, sir.
What happened? Why do we have to come back for it?
Because we did a resolution, and the resolution then allowed us to go ahead and develop an ordinance, and the ordinance is what actually puts the bond agreement in place. So we as a council voted to move forward with it as a resolution. And now, once we pass this, then they will be able to go ahead and get their financing started with the two banks and move forward and get the project started.
Right. It's the legal process. It's a two-step process. I'm sorry, bond counsel stepped out. Oh, here he is. If I say something wrong, yell.
Does that help?
I'll do that. Okay.
I have a question.
Any
That's
other
okay.
questions?
Can I ask
Kara?
I think when you guys were here the last time, you promised 57 jobs, temporary jobs, seasonal jobs.
I'm sorry.
That comes with the development of these properties, the redevelopment of these properties. Is that still in play?
Number of bodies on jobs?
The number of jobs that you will bring to the table, number of jobs.
There'll be jobs created in a variety of manners, first of which will be through construction.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to rehabilitate 335 units of public housing located in 4 properties. The 2 towers here in town, Civic and Terrace, Pine Valley, and also Dunbar. So there will be a myriad of contractors on site. We have an 18-month construction window. These are occupied rolling rehabs. So it's a very arduous task to be working in occupied buildings. So there will be numbers. When you say 59, I can see that number being much more than 59 from a construction standpoint. And then from the operating side, there's currently an organizational chart, staffing chart for the operations of the property that aligns with the current operations the Housing Authority has in place.
Will the jobs here be local jobs? Will you be hiring local? Or will it be your staff that you bring with you?
Well, we currently have 2 other projects in town, and we have the people that work for us in Kokomo live in Kokomo. One gentleman lives in Peru, which I think would be in close proximity. But we're not importing people from other areas. It doesn't make sense, economies of scale. We have qualified and competent people that live here in Kokomo that want a job. We certainly want to be able to work with them. Other questions?
Any other questions? None from the audience?
I got
My name is Travis Vandergriff, Vice President of ASME. Once this rehabilitation is done, is there a plan for maintaining these properties, and who will be doing that?
As I mentioned, the properties are currently under the Kokomo Housing Authority. Kokomo is a co-developer in the process. We're in negotiations with the Housing Authority regarding ongoing management. The staffing chart from our perspective is the same. So we're still negotiating with the Housing Authority and they in turn with their employees as to how to manage. The project will not close on financing until sometime early in 2021. We hope in the first quarter, maybe first or the second quarter, depending on the schedule at HUD, COVID, and any other underlying issues. So these are things that are still ongoing in negotiations.
Mr. Martin, real quick, have you done this before somewhere else?
Yes, I have.
And did you retain the employees from that?
We did.
All the employees came?
No, several people have retired, but they were retirement age. They chose to leave.
Can I ask you one thing? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
With the remodels, I know some of the towers, they're pretty dated. What all will you be doing in the towers to fix and remodel those and bring them up to?
It's a very lengthy list depending on which building you're at, but at a minimum, each of the buildings will get new roofs. Where required, I think it's Terrace will be HVAC, interior plumbing remodels, new kitchens, bathrooms, floor coverings, interior fire doors, hallways, drop ceilings, exterior tuck pointing where required, balcony repair, concrete repair outside, new lighting, new water-saving devices, and new HVAC. But there's more depending on Pine Valley, as examples of multifamily. It has a different set of challenges. So there's a long list of items we call the scopes of work at each property. But you're talking about $23 million in hard and soft cost, 335 units, a substantial capital investment.
So in that $23 million, is that primarily being spent locally as far as sourcing all of the different products that you're going to need for these projects?
No, I can't, and I don't think anybody can say that Kokomo offers all the building materials that we need for the
I'm
project.
not saying all. I'm saying, are you making a concerted effort to spend some of that money locally?
Absolutely. We have at every project we've had here. We have local contractors, and we continue to work with them because we have good subs we found and good workforce we found here in Kokomo.
Speaking of Pine Valley, when you get done with all these, I'm assuming will be up to the top codes of our city.
Yeah, we're doing substantial renovations using federal funds. There are inspections in multiple levels from multiple jurisdictions, including the state and the federal government.
Now, I've heard when you say Pine Valley, are they getting their electrical redone out there?
Forgive me, I don't have the scope of work in front of me. I know there are electrical improvements, but I'd have to defer to the scope of work. But things that were in conversation and discussions early on with the engineers, with the Kokomo Housing Authority staff about whatever the issues and where there are deficiencies as it relates to codes, those things have all been addressed in our scopes of work.
Are there any further questions? Hearing none, thank you very much. Hearing none, we have a motion and a second on ordinance 6977. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify same.
No.
Aye.
Dick, Diane, take the roll.
Ayford?
No.
Collins? Yes?
Yes.
Roger Stewart?
Aye.
Tony Stewart?
No.
GRECU?
Aye.
Rudolph?
Aye.
Sanders?
Aye.
Miklick?
Aye.
McKibben?
No.
6-3.
Passes 6-3.
What's number 6-3?
6-3.
Motion carries. Resolution 2752. Diane, would you read that by title only?
Resolution 2752, whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to transfer funds within the general fund.
Tom?
Mr. President, Resolution 2752 is determined now to transfer the necessary funds. This is a transfer of funds from the general fund and most of it is from the Parks and Recreation Fund. The total in amount is $600,820, and it has various number of funds listed on this resolution, and I move that we approve the resolution as presented, 2752.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any comments from the audience? Hearing none. Council, do you have any? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second on 2752. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. That concludes our meeting, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming. Our next meeting will be December the 14th. So please come, have a nice Thanksgiving, and the council, please stay and sign ordinance 2753.